Top of the morning to you all, and welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show. And I'm your host, Sal Greco. I see here Matt O'Brien's in the chat. Good morning to Matt. Good morning to Jay Vindictive. Good morning to Lone Silencer, of course, was enjoying the mug in the morning. Lenny writes in the chat. Frankie Paliguacci. Just everyone who's in here, thank you for being here. It's been a wild last couple of days. Obviously, we have a lot to get to. We'll get to it in a little bit. What the Paul Saraceno files, all of them were released. That's why another thing, Eric will be discussing that a little bit later. The Knicks, they've won. They finally won for the first time in 53 years. And, of course, New York City absolutely was bedlam in Manhattan. So much chaos happened there. And it's always, a few, I'll say a few hundred maybe, that just absolutely destroyed the place. And I'm talking about buses being on fire, multiple cops injured, multiple assaults, the vehicles, property destroyed. The same thing as usual. And we're going to get to that. Some of these videos are just mind-boggling that people would be this dumb to try this stuff out. And especially one guy, I believe, went into an NYPD, RMP, like an SUV, a truck, decided to smash it from the inside out, put his feet, smashed in with the windshield, cracked the whole thing. And then someone was on video actually saying the difference between New York City criminals and others is they're dumb enough to do it on film. They want to be filmed committing crimes. So it's just pure chaos. But it was bedlam, and it was a great moment for the Knickerbockers and the franchise. Congratulations to James Dolan. I actually wrote about it all on salgreco.com. But if you guys can, if you're following us, follow us on Rumble and at the Sal Greco Show, where this is streaming live right now. You can hit the Rumble button, the like button, the notification button. And if you feel like you want to follow us there, you can. If you feel like following us on at the Sal Greco Show on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the share button, the notification button. Also, there's a community. There's a community button where I post things there, kind of like X or Substack, and you can check out all the latest there. I post a lot of things there. There's a lot of posts from X and breaking news and videos and stuff. So check it out on at the Sal Greco Show on YouTube. And, of course, streaming live all over the world right now on X on at the Sal Greco. You can like this video and share this out to all your friends in Low Information Bubble. And also shout out to everyone who listens on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I keep seeing the listeners. Keeps growing and growing and growing. For anyone that listens on the podcast part, on the streaming, wherever it is, Spotify, Apple, thank you. We see you all too. First off, I want to say, don't forget to go to SEOginzos.com. Right on there, you could tell them you're a friend of Sal's. You get 10% off whatever your needs are for search engines, because you need this stuff. Trust me, if you have a business, you need to go through the back door and break the social engineering. You could go on SEOginzos.com and tell me your friend of Sal's. You get 10% discount. That's great. You're great guys. They've worked wonders on my website, okay? IACRL.org. If you want to become a member of the Italian American Civil Rights League, even if you're not Italian, you just want to join because you like hanging out with paisanos who like to eat well. You could join. There's a Manhattan chapter. There's a Florida chapter. There's a New Jersey chapter. There's all kinds of events going on. So you can go there, IACRL.org for all the latest. And, of course, last but not least, salgreco.com, where you could see all the latest regarding the show, news, videos, everything, salgreco.com. You could buy shirts. You could also we fund this whole operation through you guys. So there's a donate button. That's what keeps us in the fight here of the information war. So salgreco.com, donate, buy shirts, read the latest articles. We wrote something about the Knickerbockers last night, their win. Obviously, we wrote about the Paul Saraceno files. Jonathan Baez, who was indicted the other day. We had all of that first. So salgreco.com for all your latest. So now it's time to get to our guest and everything that's going to be discussed here, because to set the table, this person actually had reached out to me the minute they were, we'll say, unjustly terminated. And that led us up to this moment, because as you guys know, I don't like seeing corruption, and I don't like hearing how the police department, especially from the top, treats their employees. And you know how I feel. I feel that this police commissioner is definitely inept and not worthy of being a police commissioner. Maybe they could go run their father's company, but even there, they don't want them. So what does that tell you? And that's the police department being run of today. And we'll get to all the riots, all that stuff later. So without any further ado, let's bring up the producer, the co-host, and the wingman, Jack Stern. Jack, I hope you had a good week. I know you were happy, right? You were very happy.
Yeah, no, I had a fantastic weekend. I celebrated with all of the Joeys from Long Island who now live in South Florida for the Knicks game. What an incredible win. That was 50 years in the making. I just hope that everyone stayed safe who was celebrating on the streets of New York City, though. We were just talking about it before we came on the air today. I wanted to make this point before we bring our guests on. Rioting has gotten way out of control over the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, what began as once was a celebratory thing when a team wins the NBA Finals, everyone goes on the streets and celebrates. Now it's become an open invitation to go out and act as crazy as you possibly can to see what you can get away with. And between all the people who were burning the trucks and acting out of control and screaming, and I saw the one person who was using that Razor scooter to smash the front of this bus, which you guys now see on your screen. I mean, it's gotten way out of hand, and it's only a matter of time, Sal, until someone's going to get hurt. So just going forward, everyone be careful when you're out there celebrating on the streets, because these things have a knack for getting out of control. Someone lit an IED a few days ago as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just become way too nuts.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I mean, you could kind of see it coming from a mile away, but there's really not much you could prepare. You can't prepare. There's nothing you could do. If they're going to act like animals out there and this pure savagery, then what are you going to do? I mean, they used like I said, they actually torched the bus with a they lit it on fire. They had a blowtorch. It's insane what I saw. Insane.
And this is what we've been talking about too on this show. Is like when people show up for an event where there's a lot of people, they end up using it as a forum and a platform to propagate another message. Look at someone spray painting "fuck ICE" on the side of this bus. I mean, the Knicks just won their first title in 50 years and people are still caught up talking about ICE. It goes to show that you can't use this as an outlet for all of your anger that's bottled up.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. It was so much, and I don't know. I don't know how you could possibly prepare for all that, because it was insane. But without any further ado, I have my guest up and her attorney, which you saw last week, but it's funny now he's representing this person as well. She wasn't in New York City Police Department. She was in the police academy as a recruit, and then we're going to get to her story. So without any further ado, I'll have our guest, Slims Florentino, who was in the NYPD recently, and her attorney, the one and only Eric Sanders. So welcome back, Eric. It's like Eric's constantly, he's always in the mix, right? And he's always got things.
Another cameo appearance.
Well, I'm behind the scenes of lots of things that people don't necessarily know all the time.
Yeah. So Slims, I gave a little bit of an intro. You actually messaged me the other day, and you were telling me a little bit about what happened to you. And I knew that this was not a good thing. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you then became, obviously you were a police officer, we'll say a recruit, you're in the police academy. And then we can start discussing how everything unfolded with you.
So my name is Slims Florentino. I'm 31, turning 32 years old soon. I am Dominican, and I was born and raised with my mom in the projects here. I have siblings, my brother and my sister. My sister is an educational teacher for special education, and my brother runs a utility company. And I've always been taught to do the right thing and always treat others with respect. I come from a background of serving and just always doing the right thing. I have a degree in criminal justice and concentration in criminology and anthropology and psychology. So I've always just been about the books, and my parents came here as immigrants, so I've always strived to do everything I can do to succeed and to make them happy. And one of the things I've always wanted to do as a kid was become a police officer. So I was satisfying that with my dad, who's actually post 9/11 and suffers from having health conditions that have stemmed from 9/11. So this was going to be something that was me honoring to my dad, protecting and serving the city that I was born and raised in, and nothing more than just that for me.
So your father is a veteran that was also at 9/11 during that tragic day, but he's a retired NYPD.
He's
so,
FDNY, so he was part of FDNY.
Still, he's a 9/11. You know, there are a lot of people that suffer with that. Still to this day, even my friends that are still in court trying to get their benefits paid, which could be a whole nother story. Okay, there's a long story with the city with that. So, so you have this history, you have this dream. You're actually super educated. I think you're too educated to be a police officer. You're probably better off in a much better position, like a lawyer or something. So you enter. So you apply to be a police officer. Take the test to become a police officer, and then here you go. You started when in December. You were in a police academy. You entered.
Yeah, I started
Wait a minute.
17 to 20.
She got to tell you the most important part. What she did prior to this. What did you do?
Oh yes.
Prior to this, I was licensed with the FAA and flying for one of the most signature airlines, Delta Airlines. I did.
Wow. What's the most?
Years.
Now, before we go any further, I need to ask you, what's the most exotic destination that you ever went to? Because when people think about flight attendants, I know it's not as glamorous as it seems, but we think about you guys like going to all these cool places and doing these awesome activities. So what's the craziest place you went?
I've gone to Switzerland. Yeah.
That's great. That's what I'm saying.
I'm jealous.
You're sounding more and more overqualified for this position. But so you were on the airlines. You got to see things that people could only dream of, and then you say, "Hey, I want to." And now you have all these degrees, and you go, "I want to do an honor for my family and my pops, and I'm going to join the NYPD at a time where it's really being mismanaged and run into the ground. And the city itself has chaos all around it, as we saw this weekend." So you entered a police academy. So take us from there. You became a cop. You have these big, your eyes are all big. Here you are. You want to make a difference. You thought this was going to be my career. So take us through that step. What happens next?
I take the oath on December 17th once we come in, which I found a little odd because we haven't done the whole training. So to take the oath before doing the training, it's just a little bit different for me because you can't take an oath to something you don't know and you're not aware of and you're not even qualified for yet. So I took my oath.
Let me say something since all of us have to do the same thing. Because remember, as soon as you're sworn in, you're technically a police officer, even if you don't know a damn thing. So
Correct.
That's the reason for it.
That's not good. But I did that. I took my oath, and then I started with a class with 36 strangers that I've never met in my life. And they all range from ages of 20 to 36. My company sergeant, Weinrich, actually is former military, 36 years old with 20 years service in the Marine Corps. And he actually was fighting a war for us during 9/11. So wow. I was able to resonate with Weinrich. And some of my other fellow classmates, like Machaka, who is one of my only friends in the academy, he is military. He works for the Army. And you're just sitting in a class with a group of people who are aging mainly from the age of 20 to 23. This is some of their first jobs. Some of them are turning 21 before they graduate the academy. It could be a week before graduation, a month before graduation, just as long as they are 21 prior to appointment. So a lot of them didn't know the responsibilities or even what they were swearing an oath for.
Amazing.
And after I started, I noticed that it was like high school, like a paid high school program. You have the cliques that started to form, the females who were making cliques and just latching together and to create a hostile work environment. And then you have the males who are into it's my era to shine. And there's a variety of females that are in the academy. So get a catch and have your biggest catch if so be it. And if they were entertaining. So it just felt like high school and college combined together, like an experience of where you're not really going there for the purpose of becoming a police officer and protecting and serving the community, but you're more or less going there to create an environment where it's who you can essentially sleep with and where do you go after that in there.
Sounds like a frat house.
It is.
Well, I mean, you understand that the dichotomy probably exists because you have people like yourself who have flown to Switzerland and done all these different things in life. And then you have people who are 20 years old who are still living at home with mama and papa who haven't graduated college and haven't really gone out into the real world. So that age contrast kind of creates a weird relationship dynamic in that sense.
Yeah, I find this is kind of what I've been trying to explain to people. Like, this is the police. Now you always hear me talk about other stuff. We've kind of glanced into the police academy, but here you're hearing about the actual police academy. So describe your experience there, because I know there's a chief there, this guy Morello, who's, I don't know, this guy's he's got a lot of allegations on him. I hear his name come up all the time with all this academy stuff. So I don't know if you could round off some names and some of the stuff you had to endure during your time.
Hey, wait a minute. I wanted to say something. I noticed that this person is Astrid Ortiz. If I were you, you're probably a defendant in this lawsuit. I wouldn't be making comments because it can be used against you. Just in case. See, that's what the problem is. They're a little too smart for themselves. They're little criminals they hire. You're going to be laughing at the end of this. So keep listening. Go ahead.
So I did have to encounter one of the things, as Eric Sanders had just established. Asher Ortiz, actually, along with Biggs and Colon and Sanchez, who are also recruits in the academy, they came in conjunction to try to do a gang assault in the locker room and actually successfully got away with it. So they're currently supposed to graduate in 2 weeks and defend the city that I stand for. And I might have had to been forced to leave the police department, but if I can protect my city in any which way means, which is exposing the people that are going to potentially respond to 911 calls that my family and I can make, I don't feel safe with you people having a shield or a gun, because if you're a recruit, and two of them, Biggs and Sanchez, used to be cadets, and Sanchez made it to the rank of lieutenant as a cadet, and Biggs, I'm not sure which one, but she was a cadet. So they're former cadets, and these are people that have been looped through the system, and they were planning a gang assault in the locker room, and they specifically stated it inside of a group chat, which was basically deleted and extinguished because my OCI, Tavares, had told them to delete all the evidence and all the stuff that they had made in their group chat once she saw that I was speaking with Murillo, Lieutenant Caraballo, and the training ICO. And these were things that I had to go through with them, and I had to face that. After I faced that attack that they were planning on me, because they simply didn't like me, because they can't pass their run, they can't pass their academics, they're struggling. So they struggle not only with the character that they carry, which is a permanent thing, and it's disturbing. Like, they would call me a snitch in class, they'd call me all these things, and they were targeting me and making it very difficult for me to be in the academy. And I still, regardless of the things that I faced with my dad's health conditions and just taking care of him here, I would still go in there with a smile on my face. And I had a target on my back because these recruits that you have, they actually know people in the department. Like Ortiz herself knows somebody from the 120 precinct, and she won't state who it is, but she thinks that she has to be untouchable because of the people that she knows. And that's the problem that I noticed in this department, that as long as you know someone, you're labeled untouchable. You think that it's okay to treat other people different. And I've gotten messages after we posted and came out that a lot of them are saying they're scared of what I was going to say and what I would say on this show, because they knew that what they were doing deep down inside was terrible, and they wanted to know what happened, and all of them wanted to be my friend all of a sudden.
Yes, Slims, I'm looking over your lawsuit right now, and it includes some pretty serious allegations against some of the defendants here. In one instance, you are alleging that you were hit with a duffel bag, injuring your leg. The department supervisor sexualized the incident, suggesting it might have been, quote unquote, a bad method of flirting. And then they later framed it as domestic violence of the MOS on MOS variety. Did you feel like this was kind of just like what the culture was within the academy? Because, I mean, you're making pretty large allegations. It seems like your supervisors there were kind of brushing it off and saying, it's whatever, you know, dust it off, kid, and get back on the field, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it was always a constant thing of where they would always tell me, oh, CYA, or you're going to experience worse on the streets. But I can experience worse on the streets, but you're giving a badge and a shield to people who have perp mentality. And it's a whole thing of where a lot of them, there's 35 of them that were upset because they were upset about, oh, you disbanded 2595. I didn't disband 2595. Your chief did. Chief Murillo did. I had nothing to do with it. And your actions were the ones that caused it. And it was just all of a sudden they disbanded 2595. But when all of them wanted to bring it together, they were all saying hi to me in the cafeteria. When they saw it didn't work, they shunned me back out. But I didn't go there to make friends. And I think the only person that I've ever made a friend there, which was Machaca, and he has always been a good person. And without a doubt, it's somebody that if I called a 1013, a 1085, I know that he's not only physically fit because he volunteers as a firefighter, but he will always have my back no matter what. And with the truth, because I've never done anything wrong to any of these people. They have always just tried to shut me down. And when Sedeno had hit me with his duffel bag, the Lieutenant Seminaro and Sergeant Siciliano tried to sexualize it, where they stated, oh, is it a bad method of flirting? You sure you didn't say no to lunch, which is why he hit you with the bag? And it was a constant issue of, oh, you know, she probably just said no to his lunch, or they had something. And then when you turn around and get IAB to come here and you're getting charged with domestic violence, other MOS on MOS, it's like, when did I fall down under a 53011, which is the information you've taught me, that a 53011 tells me, myself as a recruit, with the information that you're showing me in the chapter that had 245 slides, it's that I have to have a kid in common. I have to be married. Somebody in my family had to have been with them, or I could have had slept with them. And I don't go to school and go sit there to get sexually involved and stuff.
I just want to interrupt you real quick. There's another one of your defendants. I'm glad you guys are really didn't learn shit in the academy, because if you're really smart, you wouldn't comment or do anything to follow this, because this is going to be a problem for you. You learn an earlier career to do the wrong thing. You keep thinking it's a joke. Good luck.
I don't know why people would be doing. I mean, I experienced this myself, and then you know, certain people didn't realize that you know, I was serious. And when I dropped lawsuits, certain people's names in there, and they're going, "Oh, I thought we were friends." No, we're not friends. I don't even know who they are. But so many people, they have the same attitude. I would just stay out of it. I mean, at this point, you guys understand. I mean, some of you are recruits. You're going to get sued in your career. I got sued, even though I did everything 100% in an arrest, okay? It's the one thing that's on my record that it looks like a blemish, but they settled it without even, we were ready to go to trial and never happened. So you have to understand, you're going to get, are your actions going to be justifiable? That's what you need to worry about. In this instance, we're talking about stuff you're not even dealing with an arrest in the street. This is stuff that I don't know why anyone is in a group chat. I don't know why anybody's doing this crazy stuff, throwing duffel bags around, clowning around. Look, that's the kind of stuff you do in high school or at your home. You start doing this at work, you're going to be held liable for things. This is not like, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's not high school. It's like, I see this too many times, Slims. And what you're saying is, again, this frat house-like behavior. And when you mention this group chat, just briefly, is this a group chat like WhatsApp, like we've been seeing with Brock's Narcotics and all these other groups that they're using this to communicate and stuff, and then it blows up in their face? When I don't know why people are on these group chats still messing around and sending pictures of people, and you think none of this is gonna come down on you. So it's all legal, I guess.
I just wanted to point out to Eric too. So Biggs just created another part to enter and to sit and chat, she's listed now as Alyssa Smalls on here. So she's recreated another.
Listen. I don't think Slim, you don't really know me well, but I'm known as a big, really rough litigator. And they forget I'm from the police department, so I don't give a fuck about these punk ass cops. I really don't, because they bitches. So they can do all this if they want to. I've been in business more than 20 years because they're good for business. They're going to be crying after this one because this is going to take them down, guaranteed.
And also, what are you hoping, like, whether you're in a group chat talking about someone gossiping or going in the comment section of a podcast, the essential question that I want an answer to, what are you hoping to gain out of all of this? Are you hoping to crack jokes with your friends to screenshot it and send it around in other group chats? Is it for personal satisfaction? Do you dislike the person involved? What are you hoping to get out of going in a group chat with a false name, trying to act like a tough guy? You look even smaller.
I'm seeing this, even this is Dave Terrell. He says this, just arrogant. They don't have 10 seconds on the job and they're already in lawsuits. And these are the people that they're sending out to the street.
Except the people in the street hit back. So they think all this minion shit works, but in the real world don't work. They'll get the shit smacked out of them. So they won't pick on somebody like her, or they might wind up with worse. See, they'll learn. They're going to learn.
And they simply don't like me after I had stated to them in class because they were making Weinrich and Machaca's life impossible, because Machaca and Weinrich, they have kids. And if they needed to control their kids, they'd go home and control their kids. They can't control 34 other adults that are trying to get guns and shields to be protecting on the streets. So they were upset when I stated, if you feel comfortable with yourself putting a uniform on and somebody responding to your family's calls, and that helps you sleep at night, then so be it, and continue your ways and don't change. But some of you guys need to change, because if any of you were to respond to my family's 911 calls, I would rather walk there and get there to help them than to have you deal with them, because the way they are, it's sad. It's sad. It's atrocious. It's actually disturbing.
I mean, I still see these people. I don't know who this is. They're saying you're on the platform lying. I mean, we're going to see who's lying. I'm
pretty sure that that's Daniels. He used to work for the National Guard, or still probably does, not sure. But that looks like the same real KD3. It looks like the same handle he would use on the WhatsApp chat. And it's just, I don't talk to these people. And he was in cahoots. He's one of the ones that was fraternizing with Biggs. They would go out on weekends. They would be drinking. And it's just being in high school. It's like, you're hanging around, you're talking to people, and half of them are sleeping with each other. Like, it's just like, it's gross. Like, you guys can sleep with each other. Ain't nobody want him. And it's just like, you don't like me because you think I want somebody that has less qualifications than me. I'm sorry. I need someone who can match my energy or be better, or help me be better, and I help them be better. I can't. You're not finding that in the police academy when they lower the qualifications to get quantity and less quality.
That's been going on for.
That's the magic word. Lower. Listen, you're being too nice. They talk about what they talk about in the lunchroom. These little criminals that the police department is hiring. That's what the main problem is.
When you sit in the cafeteria and you sit and observe, because I'm a very observant person. My job has my prior experience and my job experience is to listen to those around you, because you never know when they can attack or when you're not safe and an unsafe environment can occur when you feel the most comfortable. So I've always sat and listened, and a lot of them sit comfortable about how they have prior charges, how a lot of them got into multiple fights, that all they had to do was sit down in candidate assessment and explain as to why they did it. And as long as it happened 10 years ago, then they're still hireable.
What are your thoughts on that, though, Slim? Because we've talked about that ad nauseum on this platform, and you almost opened Pandora's box in a sense when you started talking about the requirements of the fitness standards, because we've had endless debates about that. But over the past year or so, Commissioner Tisch, Mayor Mamdani, others have advocated for reducing the minimum credit hours for college credits and maybe lowering the fitness standards as well at some point in time, because we need more cops, right? We need more cops on the street. That's what we keep hearing. So what are your thoughts on that? Because by all indications, if this administration wants to hire 10,000 people in the next 2 years or even the next 18 months, this is something that could squarely be back on the table. And no, Eric, I'm not talking about eliminating the run or any of the variables.
No. I'm
talking
laughing
about like more overweight people getting on the job. That's
no, she can answer, but I'm looking at the comments. Meanwhile, she's passed everything for all the geniuses that with the comments. She's passed everything on the first shot, and she was in 97 or better, so she's more than qualified. So go ahead, continue.
Yeah, Slims, what are your thoughts on the potential lowering of the fitness standards, which could in turn increase the head count over the next couple of years?
So I think when you lower the qualifications, and I've seen with my own eyes that when you lower the qualifications, you get people and children, more or less, that are from 20 to 22. And with my degree in psychology, I've noticed that a male develops at 43 years old, fully developed. So when you put them at 20, 22, their testosterone hormones are all high and out of control. A lot of them just think it's Call of Duty when you get on the job. And it's not. You see them, you give them a simulation gun and they're shooting at each other. The way you practice is how you play. So you'll show up into the police department, you'll go to your command, and what are you going to do? Take it out and start fake shooting? You have live rounds on there. Those live rounds can take a life. And a lot of them, I don't think that they realize that when they're given a gun, they're given a shield, they're put to protect. And you can't protect when you don't meet the qualifications, when essentially they ask you for 24 college credits. We've all gone to college and we know we could get 24 college credits doing yoga if you wanted to. I've actually had one credit as a joke to do yoga because I wanted to prove that you could just get a credit on doing anything. And I still got an A in the class. Like you can come up with 24 of gym credits and sit there and just roll up into the job, and they're not cross-examining it to see if at least you took a class in criminal justice, took a class in sociology, took a class in something, computer science, something of substance that can either add to the department and help it grow or just help the community overall. We already have enough people committing crimes on the street. We don't need people with shields and guns to protect themselves and quote unquote still be able to get away with it because it was justifiable what they did, but they're not educated well enough to treat people like humans and to treat them with respect. And I've always told my family, if they're treating me like this in the academy, imagine how they would treat someone in the streets. I was a victim of a crime, of 2 crimes committed against me, and I was treated like utter shit, and I still wear the same uniform as you. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me that if I was in civilian clothes, that they would sit here and treat me any better than what what they already had treated me in the academy. And when you lower those requirements and you allow an excessive amount of people to come in, these people were probably not hired at McDonald's because nobody's going to have them cursing at you while they're serving you your French fries or have any prior criminal history, because in McDonald's, the oil there is an assault weapon. You can assault somebody with that. If they piss them off because they didn't service them correctly or something, what are they going to say? Discriminatory and derogative terms as they were using with me? You can't use that in real life. Like none of them are held accountable when you lower the quality.
You mentioned that somebody actually did that the other day after game 4. They went into a Five Guys and they were trying to throw the French fry because they got assaulted by a bunch of people. But that's a whole nother story. But that was funny you mentioned that because I did see the guy. They actually threw the guy's hand in the fryer because they were assaulting people. It was nuts. But that funny you mentioned the McDonald's thing. I just
want to say one thing. There's a person, and I'm going to clarify this right here so you understand the law. Some East Coast person says this. So when are you going to get to the part where you punched another recruit in the face when you got on the camera? Let's assume for a minute she punched him because he hit her with a bag. That's protected under Article 35 of the penal law. See, it's an absolute defense. So again, since they treat you like coddle little babies to cover up shit from corruption from the very beginning, you don't even understand the law. I don't care if she punched him in the face. Matter of fact, she should have bashed him upside his head for doing that. So if she hit him, guess what? It's protected under the law. So now, that was the great reveal. I know about it.
Yeah, see that? This is Section 35. Just so people know, I believe this was also going to be used by Chief Gurley when they all, said all this crazy stuff about him, and they didn't end up charging him, right? And because we unveiled the whole little scheme that they had. So if you see this, 35, Section 35, justification, use of force in defense of a person. That falls under these circumstances. If you're being attacked by someone, I don't think you're supposed to just sit there and take a beating. And Gurley did the same thing, and we announced, he could use that penal law 35. And what happened? You haven't heard anything since. So I don't know what Chief Thompson's still behind the scenes trying to play puppet master, but it doesn't seem like that's quite working out for him. I have this Frankie Pagwacci, $9.99 to the side. He asked a question to you, Slim. He said, is it true that some recruits will later become PPOs, failed their pre-employment drug test, but were allowed by the academy to continue after signing waiver agreements requiring follow-up drug testing? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about it. There was only one recruit recently that was terminated because he had displayed steroids to Sergeant Baldson, and he had asked him if he was okay to use it, and Sergeant Baldson, as a mandated reporter, reported it, and he was terminated. So I'm not sure about it. I know the recruit because he was in 2595, but other than that, I have no idea. Because I know that they do the drug testing on the first day, and then they tell us, oh, you guys got to stop drinking energy drinks, stop drinking certain things, because they're going to dull test you prior to graduation. So a lot of them stopped drinking all of the crap that they were serving, even in the cafeteria. They tell you don't drink Monsters, don't drink Celsius, because it'll ding your dull test, but they sell it and provide it in the academy cafeteria.
Wait, whoa. Slow down for a second. How is that possible? They tell you not to drink certain things. Are you not allowed to eat poppy seed bagels either nowadays? I mean, it's ridiculous.
A recruit had mentioned that, and he was like, hey, am I going to pop on my dull test because I eat 2 poppy seed bagels a day? He's like, to survive inside the academy on this, on the means that we have, the monetary means that we have, because it's so low paid. And she was like, well, I just recommend that you stop eating anything that would make you pop positive when they dull test you, because a lot of recruits, we lose them once they dull test them right before graduation. And it's not something that we can control. But once you walked into the cafeteria, it was always a rack of Monsters, a rack of Celsius. The Celsius had like 3 shelves because it had every flavor under the sun. And they tell you not to drink it, not to consume it.
That's crazy. So do you know of anything when they're taking tests? Is there anything involved? Is there any kind of, we'll say, are instructors or anything going on with tests? They give answers, or they passing? What about the JST and the mile-and-a-half run? Are people getting that one try, and if they fail, they're done? Or is it there's rumors about some things with that? Do you know anything about that?
So I've actually experienced it myself. So when you first start in the academy, they tell you get 6 attempts. That was short-lived, because as soon as they told us we get 6 attempts for the JSC and the mile-and-a-half, half of these people can't walk up the stairs with their duffel bags without being out of breath. So they gave them from 6 attempts to 10 attempts. And once they saw that about 70% of them are so unfit to even pass, they've actually gave them unlimited attempts. And for the JST,
unlimited attempts to run a mile and a half.
Attempts, and they graduate on the 24th, June 24th is graduation, and they're allowed to continue attempts way over the 6, way over the 10. There's people who are running every single day to try to pass, and it's 421, and it's just like the gym instructors say, it's the body you built, it's the body you created, and you can't carry it and you can't run with it. It's a shame. And it's these people that are unfit that are going to respond to your 1013, 1085. You can't put any of these people on foot and tell them to run it, because they can't even walk it at that. There's people that were doing this, and their mile-and-a-half was 28 minutes at the beginning of the academy.
See, and this is ridiculous. I mean, I never went through the police academy like you three, but if I were to have a police officer responding to my 911 call who can't even walk up the stairs to get to my apartment, I think that's a little bit of a problem. So this goes back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago with the quality versus quantity, because they're justifying, because we need more police officers, we're going to push people through. So you can't do the mile-and-a-half run in 6 attempts. Okay, we'll give you 8 attempts. You can't do that either. 10 attempts. 10 attempts, no problem. We're just going to give you unlimited attempts. And that's where things really start to get murky, because they're not upholding any of the fitness requirements.
You know what's amazing? To watch these people comment and say she's lying about this stuff. You think this is the first time I heard?
And it's the same people who failed their tests.
No, I got it. Trust me. I've been at this a long time. These are the same people failing all day long, just like the other classes and previous. This is not the first time we're hearing about this stuff. This is going to be good litigation. It's going to expose the academy for what it is. It's a joke. It's not serious. And the people out there that's supposed to help you, they're not fit to help you. They're not fit to do anything. Matter of fact, have them a bunch of criminals, which is why they keep having all these problems.
They're not, and I just noticed that Biggs is saying that I take hella breaks going up the stairs and out of breath. She's actually the one who ran 28:49 on her mile and a half, and I don't know what that, and she's
that's why you guys should stay out of the comments. See,
hold on, isn't it 13 minutes, right?
14:21 is actually,
okay,
and my niece can walk that faster, and she's 8 years old. A mile and a half. My niece is one of the fastest, strongest people I've ever seen, and it's a shame. It's a shame that they have people that have that, and they're the same ones who received accommodations for the JST, where I had to do the JST and I had to jump over a fence and do the stairs 6 times, so up, down, and then the push and pull, and then the running around 5 laps around the cones, and then dragging the dummy, and then doing the trigger pull. She's one of the ones that received an accommodation where she didn't have to do what she was struggling with. And it's sad. You receive an accommodation. If you suck at going up the stairs, they accommodate you. And instead of doing it 6 times, you do it 2 times. And then they walk into the gym and talk all proud while you're standing right next to me. There's people who are observing you, people who are registering everything you say. And you can't sit there and say that you haven't been able to do the stairs and do a JST. There's people who've been on the job that they come and they do this to get the extra points on their sergeant's exam or their captain exam, any exam that they take. And they tell you that you're able to come in and do that you could do it every 6 months, and it's to get a half a point or something, just so that as long as you do it like faster than what your last time was. But it's sad because there's people on the job for years that still have to do this and obtain a certain amount of time of 3:32. And you can't when you're physically out of shape and you physically can't do any of the things that you're required to do. And when it came to the exams, I actually witnessed it firsthand. So I spent 30 days out of the academy, suspended, over some false allegation of a domestic violence, MOS on MOS, with someone who I never even had a domestic relationship with. I don't fall under 530-11, and half of them in the comments aren't going to know what that is because they didn't pay attention in class. But it's something valuable that you had to learn. And it's something that they hit me with. I spent 30 days out. I missed 5 chapters in the entire trimester, missed 30 days, had no review, didn't mind touching the material because why would I study for something where a department is trying to play me? And I still managed to come back and scored a 97, higher than half the people who stayed in the class, sat there and studied and worked themselves off supposedly for something that they wanted, but they all cheat off of each other. You see them when they're taking their CPR and their first aid stuff, and you'll see them, oh, you got to work smart, not hard. And they're opening the answer sheets because they got them from someone else. And the instructors aren't seeing it. And then the instructors had gotten in trouble, actually. An instructor, Sergeant O'Shea from the gym, he actually got in trouble, and they were all applauding and laughing because he got a CD. And I think it was fucked up that he got a CD when you're hiring perps who can't control themselves and have no integrity. So it's, why do you hit somebody with something that is a command discipline because you have recruits who they can't control? Like, these people have families of their own and everything. And it's like you have them in a position where they're serving the people the garbage, basically, that you're bringing into the department. And it's just like they get offended because they can't do anything that requires physical endurance. And they just get pushed and passed along. Like, there's people that when you go to the range, they don't even get safety flagged, and none of them know how to handle a weapon, and they're flagging to them. Like,
Jesus Christ.
Well, good Lord.
So you have this chat, right? You were telling us about the chat. Obviously, it's WhatsApp. And they're doing all these stupid communications, which leads to this assault. Now,
wait. You know, how is it? You know, I don't know what it is with us. How is she arrogant? Because she's
confident.
Wait. I know being articulate seems to be a crime in this world. I guess if she was saying and you know about 50 times, she'd be right with it, right? This is why the department has all these problems. And that's not an assault. I mean, you guys really need to educate yourself. And this high school stuff, there's employment law that covers this stuff. So all you think is a joke, there's going to be a liability attached to this. And then we'll see who's going to be laughing then.
I mean, yeah. I mean, they keep asking, did you assault another recruit? I mean, look, these are things that are going to get litigated in a courtroom. And like I said, you already know that with Penal Law 3515, which that's what Benjamin Gurley is using to his defense, because you can't just walk up and hit someone. You're going to find that what you think and what's reality are two different things. And you know, it's hit a lot of people stone cold in the face recently, especially coming from that job. You got to know the law, guys. But so we know this happened with the chat and everything, right? Did you and now you're explaining how the JST, and that seems like a catastrophe with 28 minutes. I don't even know how to. But did you ever run into dealing with Chief Morello, and how is Chief Morello in the police academy, the way he runs it? Because that's another thing that people have constantly been telling me about, is this guy.
So I did run into him. I ran into him when he disbanded Company 95. And when I did run into him, he did tell me, even though I was a victim of a crime, he even promised me and followed through with his promise. He said, the next time your name comes across my desk, I'm not talking to you. I'm not asking you questions. I'm not investigating you. I'm terminating you. He's like, and that's just how it is. And I heard it. I sat down, I wrote it down, and it resonated when I got hit with the recruit bag. And he didn't speak to me. I didn't speak to him. I didn't see him at all. And he suspended me, and when I came back, they were just pushing me on the grounds to terminate me. And it's all of it. Like, it's just a mess in there. And it's not per se how he runs it, because he tries to run it as a paramilitary, which it should be, but it's when you run it somewhat in a certain way where you're an abuse of authority is a different way. And you can't just keep abusing authority and think that having control over people, and then even if you don't do it, everything you send your sergeants, your lieutenants to do, it's in direct order from you, and disobeying your order would be putting them where they're not listening to their authority, and they're insubordinates, and they don't want to be insubordinates because this is all they have. Some of them in there, this is all they have, and they have to do as told.
You know, Slims, were you aware that Chief Morello also was in the same academy class as Michael LePetri and lives in about the same part of Long Island as him as well? Did you know about that?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah. Well, that maybe explains some of the deviant behavior. We always like to connect the dots here on this platform between various people, and this is one explanation for him acting aberrantly in the police academy. Is he knows the chief of department well. They're from the same part of Long Island. Their families know each other. They went through the academy together, and now he has protection in his current role because LePetri is the chief of department.
And Jack, don't forget, because she doesn't know yet, but she's going to learn about it, about the Forster case that they covered up the sodomy that happened in headquarters, right? That Morello was the XO in internal affairs. And then we had to add in all the female recruits that talk about Morello, but they're afraid to come forward. I know about that too, Morello, that you like to harass the female officers there. That's reality.
You know, Eric, I wanted to ask you something too, because there's a correlation here. Doesn't this sound a lot like another case very recently? And it involves one of Quatisha Epps, who's in the chat, her family members, same police academy, same people in charge. You had Matarazzo as the chief, who likes to party with that known criminal over there in the Bronx, and Morello, who was in the middle of the Epps-Madry debacle when he was in IEB, and then he fails upwards. He becomes the guy running the police academy. Isn't that amazing, Eric? But wasn't there someone who just got terminated and they did the same stuff? They were punching and assaulting that guy too?
Yep. And this is what goes on. This is a problem. And there's a lot more that goes on in the academy. Just they're afraid to complain. But there's more coming from the academy too, by the way. This is not the only person. So, and all these little people that are getting sued in the academy is starting off bad, very bad.
I keep seeing them asking about this. Slims, what that bag, was there something in the bag that they hit you with? There was something in there, right? It wasn't just
you know what? Tell the people what's in the recruit bag, what you're required to carry in the bag.
I wish I would have known, because I would have brought it and debunked it for them in front of them. So in the recruit bag, you have your requirements of your white gloves, your traffic vest, your baseball cap that's required. You have your gym shoes. And you also have your towel. Some of these people didn't carry the towel because they didn't shower and it smelled like it. You have a shower bag, and you have your shower bag with your soap and all your stuff in it. Aside from that, you have your books that you have to carry, along with your recruit handbook, along with a nutritional book, which all of them had because none of them are nutritionally fit. And they also have to have their folders with their all their stuff in there, including all of their snacks, because I'll tell you this right now, not one of them did not have a snack or 10 inside of their bag, alongside with your straight baton, which is attached to, the straight baton is actually attached to the outside of the bag, and inside you have all of your items that are required to be had in there. Everything you purchased. So any of the people that are in the chat right now that know that you purchased something for a uniform of $1,141 when you purchased that in January. And for those of them that are from Company 95, we purchased it on January 28th. So when we walked in and we purchased that, everything that was in there, other than your baton, if you were even remotely trained in it, and your handcuffs that were in your handcuff pouch, other than that, everything else was inside of your bag. So essentially, this recruit hit me with their bag, but their straight baton was directly to the back of my knee. And a straight baton is used for FFO training, which is for riot training.
Yes.
How much does the bag weigh?
The bag weighs approximately 40 to 45 pounds. Half of these, it weighs anything of their snacks, because they leave all their accountable items at home and get cards taken away every single day because they lack discipline and carrying everything. Even as Lieutenant Caraballo would say, that you would have to carry everything, and they wouldn't.
Here's another thing I want to say, because I see the comment. I
and your laptop, and as well as your laptop as well. Your laptop has to sit on the top.
But I have to respond to some of this stuff. They go, oh, it's a thorough investigation. You know why I'm in business? Because their investigations are shit. That's why. So if you think because you got passed through the academy, they covered it up nice, that's the first step. The next step, you got to come through somebody like me, not just me. There's other attorneys that do this stuff. And if you think all this stuff is going to fly in the real world, this is not how it works.
And there goes Jada Mill Sanchez at the bottom calling me, you a fucking liar.
No, good. No, beautiful. I love it. She's going to be, she's defended too. We like taking people's homes and everything else. We don't care.
I can't. I don't know.
She's actually somebody who lives in Jersey and lies to the police department that she lives in New York. So it's
oh, you see, this is why I keep telling people don't come on here. Okay, Internal Affairs, since you guys like reviewing this, you need to take a look at her and see.
She called her mom and her dad to tell them to verify and vouch for her. That's called corruption, Jada.
See, that's actually a crime.
They actually got a. They actually.
She spelled liar wrong is minimal.
No, there's someone recently that was living in New Jersey, was working in Brooklyn, and they got caught up in that, and that's a serious thing. They don't want that for many reasons. You can't live in another state. The Eric Adams did it as the mayor excuse doesn't exist, guys. I know some people said that in the past. That's not going to work. So you can't be living in another state because they're going to catch you. They're going to look at your easy pass. Listen. These guys, especially a guy like Thompson who lives for this stuff, will get you. All right. He doesn't do the right thing, but like, kind of like we're going to play a little bit with Paul Saraceno. When these guys get fixated, they turn it into like a one-way street and they're going to get you. That's the way Internal Affairs.
We know that's actually a crime.
Eric, there it is. They called me a rat.
No, that's okay. That's beautiful. Yeah. It's good for business. But I wanted to say something about that whole thing, right? That's a crime, right? The bottom line is she's not told my sergeant lieutenants because you didn't ask her. But if you look at the actual lawsuit, she's suing sergeant lieutenants. This is what I'm talking about. This is why they're good for business. And you know how many times I had people tell me, oh, your clients are lying. I'm in business more than 20 years later. So I guess they're not as lying as people claim. So it's one thing to sit behind a computer and type all this BS. It's another thing to sit in front of an attorney like me and dismantle your BS in 2 seconds. So get ready for it.
Dave Terrell keeps saying this. You guys should know this. He says these recruits still talk and they have no idea. You're on probation. There is strong probability that the union will represent you. Private attorneys cost a lot. I like to reiterate that. There is no obligation from the NYPD, especially PBA, to give you any kind of union representation in this because you're on probation. So be very careful of what you do. I don't know. Some people think you're not bulletproof. You have to worry about your own actions and how you behave because they can come back around and haunt you. If you're on probation, I don't know why the hell you would even, talk like this. Be on here and you're getting sued, and now you're going after come on, you got to have more of a brain out there, guys.
Yeah, and let me add as well, Sal, that if you're deemed a liability, they're not going to be wanting to represent you either. I mean, look at just what happened with Jeffrey Madry and Timothy Pearson. The city is not representing them anymore. So if they're not invincible, neither is some recruit who hasn't even been a police officer yet.
You know.
What is the logical thought process that makes people think that it's a good idea to do these sorts of things? I don't understand that. Maybe I'm the stupid one, though.
You know why? You know why I believe my client even more? Because everyone's coming out to attack her. That's how I know. It's so telltale sign. If she was lying, you because whatever, she could say whatever she wants. When I see people put my clients under attack, that's when I know.
Their defense is an admission of guilt in a lot of ways. At least it feels that way.
I keep saying, I don't know why Lenny keep saying that she's a rat or whatever. Listen. In the old days, you would say, and you have to be a cop, not even in the academy. Two people, they would have what they call these things smokers. I had Dave Terrell on who explained what happened at a smoker. Remember, he was modified because this other guy had a problem with him that he went up to him out of uniform because he pulled him over when he was going to work and he was in uniform and he saw him in the courthouse and the guy called internal affairs. Who is the rat in that situation? That's an old term that really you shouldn't be using because you have a right to defend yourself. And in reality, like if someone threw a bag at me, I start doing Hulk Hogan and Hulk up on you and now I'll hit you with a boot and drop a leg on you, but then I'm a criminal, right? If I do that. So you can't answer everything being done here that's why you go through litigation. And you don't have the right to be doing, especially when this is an environment where it's an equal opportunity job. I keep saying this over and over again. High school is for high school, not on an equal opportunity job. It's just, and then who's going to be responsible? All of you out there watching, all the New York City taxpayers, just like you're responsible for all these other lawsuits that are just piling up on the soccer mom's desk. She can't get anything under control. The police academy has been something that's been hush hush, but now you're hearing about what's actually going on over there, right? And now you got to question, what is a soccer mom doing about that? Because she put her friend Morello over there after the whole Madry Epps debacle, right? When we kept going after that, Morello went over there. Morello's still he's a chief. He failed upwards, if that's possible, which we've seen over and over again under this woman. He failed upwards, and he's running this police academy. Look at how he's running it. You like having like 1,000 attempts for the JSD? You could, what mile and a half? You could do it in 45 minutes. Who cares? Just pass everybody, right? And remember the unlicensed psychologists, all that went on? Now you really got to start questioning everything. And you're starting to see, if you start to line things up, I keep saying the same thing. This soccer mom look, you're either inept or unqualified or incompetent, or I don't know if you think you're smarter than anyone else, but you don't know what you're doing. You have cue cards running around during meetings. Don't think I don't know about that either. I don't know when you're going to wake up and smell the coffee. And by the way, when you mention this, and this is for you folks, this is some real inside baseball. This is the soccer mom the other day, by the way. You love slamming the door every time you watch my show and there's something about you, or I post something about some form of corruption that you're allowing. And you say, why does Sal Greco effing hate me so much? And you said, this is from sources right around you. You said, oh, Sal Greco, you don't deserve to be fired. I didn't fire you as a police commissioner. You know, with a stroke of a pen, you could actually settle a lot of different things. I don't need to fill in the blanks. I don't know how smart you really are. But you, instead of blaming other people and saying, why do I hate you, whatever, I'm just pointing out things that you have your little minions in the media cover up for you. You tell the other, like this story could easily be in the front page of the Daily News. They can't do it. Neither can the New York Post. You know why? Because your little minions over there at DCPI threaten people behind the scenes. You think I don't know about that either? And this is all for what? Your little campaign. You think you're going to dethrone Zoran Mamdani as the mayor. You think you're going to run against him. You actually think you're going to have Latinos and blacks voting for you as the mayor when you completely ignore them in the police department. It's so obvious what goes on around you. Good luck with that. I'm just pointing out the facts. But
that's a lot of information to package into one take, Sal. But I will say Mamdani is already, we'll talk about this more on another show, but Mamdani is already fundraising for 2029. And if you think that blacks and Latinos won't be voting for Commissioner Tisch, just wait until they're more dissatisfied with Mamdani and Tisch swoops in at the perfect moment with all of the people backing her campaign, getting all the positive publicity on various TV stations. That's the one thing that would change the narrative here, but it's clear that Mamdani feels scared about her kind of leaning over his shoulder.
These people
this is good. Someone's saying that she shouldn't be on. She has a First Amendment right to air her grievances. According to the Constitution, you guys need to read it. And then some guy says, it's funny, says, Eric, there's no cop left in you that sees that she's no good for the job. No cop left in me? Most of you people couldn't hold a pinky, not even a tip of a pinky, what I used to do. So believe me, I am pro-cop. I'm not bullshit cops. And a lot of you guys are bullshit. You slid through the system. You slid through the system for years, and you think all of us should be going through the same thing. And the bottom line is, I can't wait to see this all play out in a way this plays out in all the other cases. They do a lot of talking, but then guess what? When you get exposed, the police department can't protect you from that. Then you're exposed.
And then they're not going to defend you. I mean, they may preach in the academy about defending your partner and watching out for someone's back, but just wait until you're in a tough situation and see who at the academy is really your brother or your sister. Because it's funny to watch. It's funny to watch from an outside perspective, guys. We see these allegiances between Kaz Daughtry and Jeffrey Maddrey and John Shell. And the minute one of those guys is in hot water, they're no longer the dream team. They're hiring their own personal attorneys, and no one's coming to the other man's defense on social media anymore. So it's like that coalition never existed. The good old boys club only exists when everyone's still in high school. Once everyone's in trouble, it's no longer a thing anymore. And we've seen that time after time as well.
It's Slims. You see that question? How were you hit with this bag? Was it thrown at you? Like what? How did this occur?
So I was minding my business and I was standing mustered, ready to leave. And this recruit came from behind me and with full force swung that 45-pound bag straight into the back of my leg. And that's exactly how I was hit. But they said they had video footage that I didn't see.
So it was totally unprovoked. Someone just came and hit you with their bag?
Just came and hit me from the back. And apparently to him, I have the text messages proof where he even admits himself that he didn't intend to hit me as hard. So when you have a recruit admitting to the things that they did, it just goes to show you that a lot of these people, even when we did the testimony workshop, a lot of them, they sat and lied on a fake testimony. We got a simulation, which was sitting down in scenarios, and they gave you two people, and all you had to do was remember what you did. And half of them couldn't remember something they did 24 hours ago. I've been on places where I had to recall what happened a year ago, 2 years ago, and I can recall that. Some of these people, their memorization is horrible, and they sit there and make lies. And those two people, as the attorney said during testimony, those two people, they can either have been a serial killer and you let them go, or they could have genuinely been innocent people and you could have got them with their life taken away from them for the rest of their life. And those are the people that are going to graduate on June 24th, because they're going to allow them if Sue, they do allow them because they've deemed that they've made it to be qualified. And it's not that they're just getting by with half the things.
Interesting. Eric, I know HFL asked you, what was it? You got on in the mid 80s, right? Or
I worked when it was rough during the crack era when we still were carrying 38s before the conversion, and we were taking machine guns with no. And that, well, anyway, you go look at the pictures. I don't have to talk about what I did. The bottom line is about my client. I was around. I know the game. I've represented people for years. And believe me, I know bullshit when I hear it. This isn't bullshit. That's why you're attacking them.
Hey, I know the feeling, Slims. Trust me, I get attacked all the time. I put up a video. Oh, I know one thing about the Joe cops out there. And when you're praising cops, they remain quiet. The minute you say, hey, I want to hold this accountable. What do you think about this? Excessive force or not? Extrajudicial punishment? Here they come with the barrages. But, I was never a guy. Look, I don't go to the bars. I don't want to hang out in the locker room. So we weren't a perfect fit, if you know what I mean. So at this point, I don't really care. They could go hang out with someone else. And I think you all know who that is because they need a step ladder to come up to me. Slims. I mean, because you give us about over an hour already. Just give it like, what is your take on your whole experience here, and what are you trying to get with this lawsuit? Are you in hopes to having some justice, or maybe go back and actually have a career in the police department? Because I mean, you're going to have all these you got some haters on here. If you ended back over there, God knows, and they become cops, who knows what could happen?
What I want for this outcome is so that every single person who had a part in this to pay and have what they deserve, because I've spent 6 months dealing and being isolated and treated like utter shit, that I've had to come here and I've silenced. Anytime anybody's asking me about the academy, I'm okay. Everything's okay. And I had to deal with it. I would sit in class and have 34 people sit there and bash me, call me a snitch, call me everything under the sun. Those people don't deserve to be in the city. And as long as I'm here and I'm living in this city, I don't think that Tish should allow them to sit and represent her, because everybody who crosses through there and you sign off on, they're a representation of yourself. And if you're okay with these type of people going out there, then and do their best and be their best, I don't think they have the potential of being their best. They've showed that they don't have the potential of being their best. And to them, I might have sounded arrogant, but I'm not arrogant. I'm sitting here and telling you the truth and with the same confidence. And I feel that at the end of all of this, when all of this is said and done, it's giving it back to having the courtesy, the professionalism, and the respect, because that's what the city of New York deserves. And they don't deserve any more of the disasters that we already have. There's people where in the city of New York, they ignore their mental health. And in the police academy, they ignore the criminals they're letting in. And then they spit them back out just with a uniform and a badge and a gun. And you don't know what they can and cannot do. There's people who you hear all the time in the academy, like they're doing things, they're getting involved in stuff. And if the instructor really likes you, good luck. He'll sign off and hide it for you, and you're good to go. But other than that, if they don't like you, like they don't like me, I'm a rat, I'm all of this extra stuff. But at the end of the day, I was born and raised with morals and respect and dignity, and I'm not going to sit here and stay quiet or be silenced because you want to be a bully, and you're just a bully with the uniform on. And I've dealt with bully with the uniforms on. I've had a real job prior to this. Half of these people haven't had a real job, and this is not how you run. This is actually the behavior they have. I don't even think they have it in Starbucks or McDonald's, to be honest. This behavior is atrocious. And it's just because of who you know and what you know inside of there. And they had said in the comments while we were talking, I saw they mentioned my family. And I'm proud to say that my family serves the NYPD, and they wear that uniform, and they're proud, and their honesty and integrity is up there. They've never been part of a lawsuit to sit here and say that they did or did not do something and treated people unjustifiable or had to justify their actions, because at the end of the day, they met people and they met them with the same grace that they took the oath and put that uniform on. Those are the people that I have of my family that are in the force. And a lot of them are the same people who wrote, like the instructors who wrote group chats about me. There was a specific instructor there, actually, Chowdhury, who sent a picture of me into an active MOS group chat and said to make my next 20 years a living hell.
What?
Yeah, you're not making my next 20 years a living hell. You've made your entire rest of your life a living hell, because you shouldn't have did that to somebody who don't know. And according to him, I walk around the academy acting like I'm pretty and shit and can get away with, like a pretty little bitch that could get away with everything. So it's just like, how do you have that in there? Those are your instructors. And that same instructor utilized me as an example in his class. So it's like, did you get off on that? Like, then he was upset because he sent it in a chat and he came across my friends and my family. And that's your catch-22. It's like the youth says here, where you fuck around and found out, and he fucked around and found out that I had family on the job. And ever since he found out that I had family on the job, everybody's been talking about my family on the job. But I'm needless to say that my family and my friends are on the job, and they literally told me to handle it on my own because they didn't want to get involved in the corruption that they saw brewing, because they're all about honesty and integrity. So you can't sit there and say something like that. Because I have friends that are inspectors, deputy inspectors, and those friends of mine told me to sit down and to speak to my chain of command. And my chain of command did a lovely thing, but a big shit show. And it's just, how do you hold yourself other than accountability? Once the word accountability comes up, even if it's the first letter of the alphabet, it shouldn't be A for Adam. It should be A for accountability. They need to start learning that.
You know, I'm listening and watching, and I'm looking at the comments. I actually find them hilarious. Like, one guy is telling someone who probably has more collars than you could even shake a stick at, and done a whole bunch of gun violence, telling he's soft. You know, these are the people you went to school with. They're fucking dumb. And then another one saying, oh, Eric takes any case. So if you really knew anything about me, you know I take very few cases, right? Very few. And I'm very tough. But to call someone an EDP and you don't know them says a lot. And these will be the same people that'll forget that they did this, right? And they'll be calling me looking for help because I get it all the time. No.
And it's not EDP anymore. It's a person in need of assistance.
Well, you know, they're not too smart. What do you want? They're not too
Nice
smart.
Clarification. I like it. It was necessary.
It's usually the person who doesn't sit down and educate themselves and read. I'm like so over all of them.
And it's sad because what they'll do is the police department likes to do this. Oh well, no one backed her up. I'm going to tell you a little story quick, and this is about one of my cases. I had 12 witnesses against me, and I tell this as a lesson for a lot of people. 12 witnesses, my client, 4 attorneys on the other side. Took the jury about 45 minutes. You know what the final outcome was? $15 million. So if you think having a bunch of people, well, we got 34 people they all agree with and they all sip the Kool-Aid together. I don't fucking care if you got 100 people. The truth is the truth. And the bottom line is if you keep with this police department shit, half of you are going to get fired and the other one's going to wind up in jail, like Cologne. Like I dropped him in a lawsuit like Justin Cologne. He's going to wind up in jail because he's ripping off prostitutes and everything else he was doing. And they learned that one in the chief of department's office. They covered up that behavior so he can go in the academy. And then he didn't get off probation. He's already arrested because he's ripping off people on Roosevelt Avenue. So if you think this is all a joke, you can. It's all fun and games until you get out into the real world. Then it's not games anymore.
I have one thing too for you, Slims, from Frankie Paguacci says, would you advise anyone to go through the police academy after your experience? What is
I'm going to go with what I always say. You can have your own experience if you wish. I can't sit and recommend or suggest if this is the lifestyle that you have, if you don't have anything and this is what you have. But one thing I would suggest and recommend is that you get a degree in something so that you don't turn out like some of these people that all they do have is the actual academy and they can't walk away because they're stuck because all they have is the academy and the 43 credits that they give you at the end. So I would suggest that you do what your heart desires, but the academy, it's not the paramilitary that's the problem. It's not the education that's the problem. It's the people in there that's the problem.
People running the place.
And the people they're going to let out, because I'm telling you right now, there's 1,123 people in there that are about to come out and they're going to respond to your 911 calls. And I promise you one thing I'm not doing is calling 911 because I don't want any of them because they're going to be in the confines of the 109, 114. And those are the confines that I would have to be in for them to respond. And I'm good.
Now, Eric, I know you see this. It said you're a one-hit wonder. Been talking about the same case for years. What about something recent? You like the Milli Vanilli of NYPD losses. IAB is watching you, Pooh. You know, Eric.
Yeah, it's so funny. You know, I settle cases all the time. Let's do the cumulative 200, 300 to add it up. That's a little bit more than the average person makes. So, and how many people have ever gotten a $15 million verdict? Anywhere in the United States, by the way, a solo practitioner. So you could poo-poo on it, but the bottom line is.
That's funny. I just read a comment from East Coast Ghost, and I've debunked exactly who that person is because they just said, so when are you going to get to the part in the female locker room where you were being weird and body shaming others? Well, hi, Astrid Ortiz. I've debunked who you are because I have a degree in psychology. And she was the one who was insulting an August recruit. And if you are watching, this August recruit was a Caucasian woman, a little bit heavier set, short hair. And that's just her preference. If she wants short hair, I don't know whether she's straight or gay, whatever it is. But she decided to make comment, Astrid Ortiz, and stated, men don't belong in the locker room. And Jada Mills Sanchez and Cologne co-signed on it. And Big sat there too with it. So it's just like it's the same 4 people doing the same dumb thing and continuous. And it's just like, how many bullets do you have in your Glock 19 or your Glock 17 before you lose your foot? It only takes one.
Slims, this is why I kind of view the police academy unseriously. A lot of times these guys will say to me, well, what does your training say? What are you supposed to do in the academy? When you have a bunch of intellectually incompetent people teaching you policing, most recruits are not paying attention. You don't cover the range of scenarios that you're going to encounter on the street. I'm sorry, but it's not sufficient training for the job. And it's unfair to base everything that you're going to be encountering off what you're taught in the academy when you have a bunch of buffoons and idiots teaching most of the lessons.
And it sucks
and more importantly, enabling deviant behavior too. These are not like people that I envision standing up on morally high ground here.
And it's the sad part, because I can sit and count on my hand the 5 individuals in there that do teach that are up to par, and it sucks that they have to be in a pool with all the other people who don't know what they do, and they know exactly who they are because I've personally thanked them, and they're the ones that kept me with batteries in my back to continue going to the police academy, and I thank them every day, and I'm glad that I encountered them, because at the end of the day, those are the real heroes in blues. And when you look at people that they're in that blue uniform and they're a representation of themselves, and they are the best instructors that I have had. Like, I've had P.O. Billington and Detective Cooper. They have been outstanding people that I can tell you that when I look at them, I see a New York City police officer, and I see the type of person that I want to be like, and I use them as an example, because at the end of the day, those are 2 people that I could tell you they know the material and they know everything, and they see through the bullshit of these recruits. They tell them, and the recruits laugh like it's funny. No, they're being honest with you. They would never work with you on the streets, and it's just your safety hazard. And those are the people that they've taught me everything that I know. Detective Cooper was my law instructor, and Officer Billington was my police science instructor, and everything I know that I need to know to be able to maneuver in the streets, file the correct reports. Some of these people didn't know you had to do a 61 in every encounter. They did practice encounters and they didn't even do the 61. Like, how do you hold yourself accountable? You know that the 61 is everything. Like, these people are just, I'll fill out whatever paperwork, until they realize when they hit the streets that their job is legitimate paperwork, and it's going to take from them their personal life, and they're not going to have a life outside of the police department unless they know how to balance. And for some of them, that's why I noticed that either they can run miles after the fact that they joined the police department because they have nothing else but to run to clear their mind, or it turns out fatal at the end, because none of them have the ability to withstand.
Listen, Slims, you are very articulate. That people, especially in a job like this, that push people on their back heels, because let's face it, not the brightest people sign up for the job or end up becoming cops on the job. As we can tell of many cowards that wear white shirts that don't know what the hell they're doing when they're out there, but they passed 1 test or 2 tests, and they feel like they're Superman. I think you, like I said, you are beyond qualified for this job. I sincerely, my heart goes out to you for all the stuff that you've experienced, including a lot of Joe Coppers here that just, I don't know, or people you work with, they're Joe Cops too. And these people are just starting. I hate to see how their future career would be if they have one, if they survive all these lawsuits. But I wish you well with this. If there's any updates, obviously I want you to come back. If you have anything else to add or anything else that comes about in your future, I like to come back also. But I think you gave us over an hour in your time. That was a lot already, and it's been quite the comments here. I've never seen this kind of.
I heard them every day for 6 months. I can't walk in the hallway. There's people who can't approach me. There's people who approached me like just the other day, last week. I had the son of a lieutenant from IAB who approached me and was like, "Aren't you the girl who punched the guy in the face?" And I was like, "It's not a subject of conversation. If your dad works for IAB, then he should be educating you. Like, you're setting up your son for failure. He's 22, 23 years old and doesn't know his head from his feet when it comes to there are certain things. Like, why do you know that is an instance or that is a reference into my name? It just leads me to believe that what is your dad, the LT of IAB, telling you?"
This is crazy. I still see comments in here. It's like, well, listen, it'll be litigated in the very near future. So, Slims, I wish you well. I guess you have Instagram if anybody wants. Well, they've been another thing too is a lot of people have been following.
They want to be my friend now, and then it's kind of funny because I don't know if he's on here watching, but there was an SRG sergeant who decided to go on a love tapping spree of all my photos except for the one where I'm talking about the corruption of the NYPD Police Academy. But that was the post that led you to my page, because my page was public before, and I had to go private because there's a bunch of weirdos here.
Oh my God, I see. Yeah, so I wish people would just behave yourselves and be professional, but some people just can't. But Slims, thank you for coming on. I find you to be very brave also, because this is not easy. You see this kind of, you see how they're throwing spears at you from all angles. I know the feeling. So there's people like Dave Terrell and Quatisha Epps in the chat too, and Jack, who we got it from people that we used to be associated with. So yeah, so my heart goes out to you. And again, in the future, if anything, we'll have you back on. Any updates or anything that you encounter, you're always welcome to come back. But thanks for being here, Slim.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Slims, thanks so much for coming on our show today and talking about your lawsuit. We know it requires a lot of courage, especially with the vulnerability that you're showing here and the comments that are coming in and the back and forth that we've unfortunately had to deal with. But we gravely appreciate it, and we definitely look forward to having you back on a future edition of the show as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Slims.
Thank you, Slims. Take care.
Now, Eric, obviously,
Yes,
I got to say some stuff. So we're going to get, you guys don't go away, because Jack, there's part 6, 7, and 8 of the Paul Saraceno files. But this is another thing we're going to get to. And it's good that we have Quatisha Epps in this chat, because this whole witch hunt has to do with nonstop asking about Epps over and over and over again. But there's other things that are larger. So if you haven't heard this, and I know the soccer mom might be watching herself right now with all these giant numbers we have, please start playing these videos so for everyone. So then we're going to have Eric talk about this, and for some people who haven't heard this yet.
Of the Paul Saraceno files?
Yes.
All right, let's get it rolling.
Start with part 6. Let's go. Part 6 of the Paul Saraceno files, where NYPD's Internal Affairs interrogated Paul 12/31/2024. They start discussing retaliation again and how real it is in the New York City Police Department.
Did you go to him at all? No. And as I said before, you question his administration, City Hall, is punishment. And, it's severe punishment, embarrassing punishment. And other executives, when this would happen, transfers and dole tests, exact words, that's fucked up. So if you went and questioned Chief Madry about this, he would have problems. I guarantee. Well, I understand. I understand.
And he was also directed by competent authority
to sign it over, not to sign. Let me understand that correctly. And Chuba, let me understand that correctly. Were you directed by competent authority to sign these overtime slips that we presented to you today?
You should sign all the overtime. To sign all the overtime.
Sign
all
the
the
overtime
slips. Yes.
You weren't directed by competent authority to go back in time and sign all the overtime slips. Moving forward, you have to sign all overtime slips. I just want to get that clear.
We had to sign all overtime slips.
Understood.
In November, right?
From November moving forward.
Yes.
So if these overtime slips were handed to you in November for signature, and you say they've already paid to her, how did they get into the system without a signature? What was the process that allowed that to happen?
The chief of the department's office.
Yeah.
With this interrogation alone being on the official record, I think a lot of people have future lawsuits, because retaliation is very real at all levels in the NYPD. More to come in part 7. There's part 6, Eric. It's funny we mentioned retaliation, right? Because today's case literally is about retaliation, which they're explaining. A deputy chief of the New York City Police Department explaining this internal affairs, Mr. Inspector Fickrue was there. You know, he's the hitman for the soccer mom one time in Group 1.
Mm-hmm.
So now this sets up, everyone wants to know who was processing this, right? Let's put part 7 up because you're going to hear about another timekeeper that we didn't know about, does the time separately from One Police Plaza. Let's hear about this.
So in part 7 of the Paul Saraceno files, where NYPD's Internal Affairs interrogated Paul December 31st, 2024, we now learn about a separate timekeeper.
The question is still the same. How does she get paid for overtime when there's no paperwork or signature on the paperwork?
Her overtime, and overtime goes to Charlene Hernandez, who does their payroll, does specifically the payroll based for her and the advanced teams, and they handle over that.
The advanced teams are,
The advanced teams, I guess, for Chief Madry and for Commissioner Gotri.
And they, to my understanding, they go to a separate facility than everyone else's overtime in the command. Is that correct?
Yes, she works out of the 4-5.
4-5.
so Chief Madry, Commissioner Daughtry, and Lieutenant Epps are processed separately from everybody else by this one timekeeper.
And the advanced teams.
And the advanced teams are who? Define what an advanced team is.
The advanced teams are the staff that work for each of those staffs. So that is the security team. Those are the advanced teams.
So you are not an advanced team?
I am not
Despite the
advanced.
fact that you do work for the chief of the department and you're his CO.
Right. I am not on the advanced teams.
And where's the OT and timekeeper? Is it 4, 5?
In the 4-5 precinct.
So who's in the? How many people in the advanced team?
It depends on ballpark. It depends on Chief Madry's team. I believe it's like 7 or 8 people, because you have the people that are in day tour, you have midnight, you have so it's just 7 or 8 people.
Very interesting how the line of questioning is always about Quatisha Epps and not about the overall spectrum of everything, huh? Part 8, the grand finale coming up.
Now, you know, Eric, before I get to 8, I would think okay, I've never worked in internal affairs or done any of these stupid investigations. When you hear advanced teams, 8 other people, another timekeeper, would you not want to lean towards finding out what the hell that is instead of going back to Epps, the slips? Did you sign this? Which he answered 20 other times. That's just me. I don't know. I find it like mind-boggling that he's not asking about Daughtry. All these people have other slips. There's another timekeeper. Why are we not discussing this, which this is a revelation, and you're going back to something we've already heard the same answer to 2,000 other times? Other than, Eric, this is an agenda. That's what
Where's Elon Musk when you need him?
Listen, this is the investigation. Remember, they bullshit the public like they always do. Oh, we did an investigation. They knew, Tish knew, Jessica S. Tish knew 13 days after Quatisha Epps was suspended that she had a witness that can clear her conduct. She knew that from the very beginning. And they let all the shit get dragged out in the public, let Quatisha Epps get dragged all over the place. She stole. Oh, where do these forms come from? These forms come from the police department because the other ones developed legs.
Which we're about.
Right. They're full of it.
We're about to get there. So everybody, here's the grand finale, part 8, and then we can get into everything. There's a grand reveal in this. So put up part 8. Let's hear this.
Here is part 8 of the Paul Saraceno files, where NYPD's Internal Affairs interrogated Paul 12/31/2024, and we'll have an exclusive for you right after we play this.
As a standard, as through my career, people get in trouble, you try to reach out to them just to make sure that they're okay. All right. But with that being said, okay, very upset, whatever. I says, listen, I need the slips so they can do everything. Okay, no problem. I came back, I signed everything, and I gave her the slips. So that they can go forward and an investigation can be done. My belief is, at this point is that every single thing that she did was verifiable under Chief Madry. I said you have a 4-star chief, okay? And there'd be nothing for me to think that it would not be above board. Because, and I give you an assignment. You're direct reporting to me, okay? The rest of these people don't know, but I know, and you know, and the other part of it is that Chief Madry on the other side is going to stand behind what he assigned her. That is his responsibility. Because if I assign something to you and you were to work directly for me, I'm going to take the responsibility for it, and I'm going to be accountable for it and say, yes, I authorize that. You know, Joe Schmo came in, and on this date he performed this tool, or he was doing this, whatever that was. Okay, so that is on the accountability side, that they should stand up. And that is my belief, handing them back to her, that, hey, this is all paid for, this is all done, this is an investigation. Do not impend the investigation. Give it back. This way you guys can do what you do and understand whether or not this is above board or not. Okay? And my understanding is that everything is what it's supposed to be. Until the same thing happened when the world exploded and Chief Madry resigned and all of this stuff came out. So independent knowledge of any of that other stuff is not there. The understanding, myself and that office, from when I came in there to now, prior to this, is that she works directly for him. This is direct reporting, and everything is accountable under the chief.
And do you question the chief?
No, I do not question the chief.
There you have it, folks. Part 8 of the Paul Saraceno files. And here's the Sal Greco Show exclusive. Remember when they mentioned a second timekeeper, that she was in the 45th precinct, which is a special accommodation. So the original overtime slips that Quatisha Epps submitted and many others got legs. They went from the 45th precinct to Chief Madry's desk, according to my sources. What happened to those? I don't know. But that's why there were supplemental slips being signed by Paul Saraceno, according to my sources. All roads lead to Jeffrey Madry. Why did those slips disappear?
You know, Eric, I think everyone here, Epps says it best here. The folks that he is referring to encompasses approximately 30 plus MOS, yet Epps is all they inquire about because it was a hit job exclusively for Epps, which is what I believed after listening to this tape. Just so I could, put a capper on all this. What you all have been screaming about, saying she stole, she's this, she's that. The original overtime slips that also feature a slew of people, Kaz Daughtry, his advanced teams, CRT, all these people, those slips went to a separate timekeeper in the 45th precinct, which you heard Paul Saraceno mention. This is according to my sources here. Those slips were there. They were in an envelope or a folder, and they somehow went from the 45th precinct, developed legs, the original slips that were already accounted for and paid out. They went back to One Police Plaza and were last seen on Chief Madry's desk, still in one piece. No one has seen them ever since, the original slips. So the slips that you hear Saraceno signing for, that Epps then says Internal Affairs is looking for, is because they did supplemental picks, which by New York State labor law and other laws is 100% legit if your employer loses the original. So those supplemental slips are there because the original slips developed legs. No one stole anything. But everything that you heard coming out of this, there's all kinds of crazy stuff, including extortion by Jeffrey Madry on Quatisha Epps. So I am led to believe, I don't know if this is true, but someone needs to ask Jeffrey Madry and actually do an investigation, because if he's doing this with her, what about everyone else involved? Because you have 30 plus MLS, like Epps said, you have advanced teams, CRT, Kaz Daughtry, all these different people. Is Madry also getting his crumbs from them? Because these slips disappeared. I'm not talking about the 170 there's a bunch of slips that disappeared. So that is the gist of this story. And the soccer mom didn't want to actually do an investigation, because then that would mean what? Then the soccer mom, she's rooting out corruption, isn't she? Or she's just looking for someone to put the, rub the butter knife on and say, okay, this is it. Kind of like she did with Thomas Fabrizi, kind of like she did with that Sergeant Madho the other day, or what's her name? Pemball, or now her name is Pemball now, right? And leaving Richie Taylor out doing the same thing. So this is interesting, Eric. I just wanted you to take after hearing all that, and now you know, especially since I got that other scoop that the slips, the original slips developed legs, and then the other slips were just supplemental. And all of this was just to show that it just worried about Epps. They never cared about anything else, Eric. That's all I ever heard on this tape.
So before I comment on it, because at this point I'm not going to expect her to comment, but I want to give you two little fun little facts about your prior guest. The index number was approved for that lawsuit, so I will be serving it tomorrow so they can get their little presents before they graduate. And I also have someone from Psychological Services look at my profile. That tells you that they see a problem in their psychological evaluation. See, I've been at this game a long time. Now let's get to this case. All right. This is not shocking to me. I knew this from the very beginning. There is no law against recreating documents. All you got to do is look at the Fair Labor Standards Act, New York labor law. I wrote about this. When did I write about this? 2025?
Yeah.
It's on my blog. I write about it. I give the case law. I give everything. It's the employer's obligations to maintain records, not the employee. So if you lose it, guess what? The employee can recreate records by testimony, Pony Express, cell phone, records, napkins, tissues, toilet paper, anything they could do. And guess what that is? Evidence that you worked. Pictures, that's what the courts say. Not Eric Sanders, the law that applies to every place, because they know in the world you have unscrupulous managers and companies that sometimes make things disappear, like in the police department. If you think this stuff doesn't happen, you guys are really gullible. You really are. If you look at Joel Ramirez case, in that case, that was Manhattan North Narcotics. The UF-28s were disappearing. Take time off. They're just disappearing. This is 2026. The police department doesn't have to be a paper monster, but they do it because that's how you keep the corruption going. I keep telling you, it's about the spoil system. So now, these forms, they're only looking for Epps' forms. I don't know what they expect to find, because guess what the law says? If the employee works, you got to pay them. Your mismanagement of the employee is your freaking problem. It's not the employee's problem, it's your problem. So if they're being abused, money taken away from, etc., and I don't care what people feel, oh, she did it, shut the fuck up. You don't even know what you're talking about. You guys, you talk out your ass, and if it was a woman in your family, you're ready to kill everyone. But now all of a sudden it's, oh, she did this, she did that. No, it's called quid pro quo. And last time I checked, there's no such thing as sexual contact at work. That's the minimum official misconduct. And you can prove it's a provable crime of rape and sodomy too. But it doesn't matter. The bottom line is they were so centered on undermining her that somehow she was always supported from the very beginning. And they wanted Saraceno to say something different, but he's a man of integrity. He was very nervous. You could hear from the tape recordings. He's nervous because he understands the gravity of it, but he still said, if you assign somebody something just like me, he gave an analogy, I'm to be held accountable. In other words, he assigned it. Guess what? He's to be held accountable. And who am I to question him? But what he didn't say is they knew about how Iglesias was in Madri's pocket, how he used to drop the logs, how he used to close all the logs. So this is the first time you hear the soccer mom. So if you heard it, you're going to hear it now. They closed all the logs. Fit, Rue, and Crew, they would close all the logs related to the first deputy commissioner, related to CRT, Cass Daughtry's clowns with the tan pants, and Madre. They covered all this stuff up. So Saraceno's been around long enough to know what he was dealing with. And by the way, if you listen and somebody knows him, tell him I represent him in the New York Minute with a retaliation case, because they try to make him seem like he did something wrong. It's absolutely illegal. She could have given him 10,000 documents. As long as it's being recreated for something that was already done, guess what? It's legal. That's what people need to understand. Not your feelings, not your locker room talk, not the Joe cops in the locker, the fake lawyers. It's perfectly legal, okay? And now the truth has come out, which means Quartisha Epps should have retired in good standing. She should have had a retired ID. She should have had an HR 218. She should have had a good guy letter. And guess what else shouldn't have happened? Since she retired with charges, guess what that is? That's an allegation. It wasn't proven. So you know what that means? That clawback and all other shit you did, got to come back. There's going to be hell to pay for this one, because whether you know it or not, she worked at work. She worked on vacation. She had an iPad. Yeah, she had an iPad. She would answer inquiries and do work even when she's on vacation. You know what that means? There's a shitload of money that she's going to collect because she's entitled to that overtime. So the lawsuit is going to be dropping soon. And thank you for Saraceno for telling the truth. And I'm sure the other ones told the truth too. They don't care about the overtime. They cared about who made it. That's what they care about. This is all selective outrage. Like now, this thing is going to go close to $2 billion at this rate, even under the so-called savior.
Two big objections with the whole case here. Objection number one, Eric, we both understand, I think all three of us actually collectively understand that Epps actually did work the overtime that she was logging, but that then again begs the essential question, why was she working 70 hours a week on the NYPD's payroll when they conceivably could have had someone else doing that job?
Okay, stop right there at that point. Whose fault is that? Is that the employee's fault? That's not what the employment law says.
It's not Epps' fault. I'm just saying from an organizational
that's misuse of the employee.
Yeah.
So she's entitled to get it. She worked it, she's entitled to get it.
Yeah,
just like anybody else.
I was just making that point because we talked a lot about the overtime mismanagement, and if that was such a big concern, they should have been spreading that overtime around amongst more junior level members of service so that they weren't spending so much money on someone who was a lieutenant special assignment receiving a much higher overtime pay rate. That's the only reason I bring that up.
But
number
remember,
two.
Jack, but the first point, so we get on the point, but remember, there was a motivation of a criminal motivation with Madre. But the bottom line is, I told you, and I say it again, overtime is abused. And if they really were serious, they will hire a bunch of civilian workers that could take all these uniform people out, because that's total mismanagement. But they don't want that because they want to be able to cook up their friends when they get in office.
Or no people working as assistants to chiefs who are above the police officer rank. Like if you're a detective, if you're a sergeant, especially as you go higher and higher, Eric, because I see some of these chiefs, they have an administrative lieutenant.
Yes.
Going forward, those are going to be rookies right out of the police academy making $47,000.
Or they could be civilians.
Or civilians, one of the two, because it's a gross mismanagement of the payroll to be doing that. But the second point I wanted to make is about Paul Saraceno. I agree with you that he wasn't culpable in a lot of different ways, but there was this kind of fear in his voice when he was being asked about Jeffrey Madry, saying, well, I don't want to question him. I don't want to stand up to him. And then when you read the lawsuit that John Scola filed on behalf of Tom Donlin, you read about some of the things he was doing to promote the bad culture internally. I agree he wasn't the primary culprit to blame here, but he does deserve more blame than I think a lot of people are discussing.
Well, that's because you don't understand how paramilitary organizations work. Let me tell you something. From the time they're in the academy, didn't you see all these knuckleheads in here today? They're pushing the narrative. She just punched him in the face. But if you ask her what happened first, they didn't talk about that part. All they talked about was she should have punched him in his face. She should have bashed him upside the head. Yeah, I said it. But I'm not saying just gratuitous. I'm saying you have a right to protect yourself from being attacked. And if you think you're being attacked, that's still protected. So the point is, they loved it from the time in the academy. You're taught, don't go against the game. Don't go against the game. You rat. The higher and higher it goes, you think it's worse in the academy or worse when they get higher and higher?
Worse when they get higher. Oh, I totally understand that point. Saraceno feared retaliation.
But that's why there's laws to protect against that, because that's why retaliation exists. Because they know it's very easy to say what people should do as opposed to what they can do or what they feel they can do because of fear. Fear paralyzes lots of people. And let me tell you, we haven't really talked about it, but, violence is a real thing in the police world. They don't have to back you up. All kinds of things can happen. Don't think it isn't. We don't see it like we used to see back in probably the 80s and 90s, but this shit happens, man. If people think it's not the real deal, it is. So he told the truth. They were trying to make him the fall guy. Meanwhile, the law was on his side. He said, all I got to do is sign it. She worked it. And you notice what he said during this, each one of those little snips? No, she worked it. I believe she worked it.
Yep.
That's all you need.
All and over again. That's all I kept hearing. And I actually wrote a nice article on salgreco.com. You guys could check that out. And in that article, all 8 videos are in there, embedded, and you could read all about it. And again, I just extensively, I break this down. And in the end, I don't know how Mamdani keeps this woman as the police commissioner. She is the soccer mom for a reason. Is that, I don't know, whether you're reading cue cards or acting like a deer in headlights, all of this goes on your shoulders. This fiasco with Madry and everything else, this is your doing. You didn't do this investigation right. You didn't go the full length because you knew it would happen. Because it would be bad on you if you found out your chief of department was no better than Tim Pearson or whoever. And by the way, when they mentioned competent authority, he mentioned City Hall. Who's in City Hall, Eric? Oh, that's right. The mayor was who? Eric Adams. So there's implications.
I bet you there's no referral to DOI.
Oh, of course not. That's the least that you could do. They didn't do any of this, Eric. This is a farce. It was a hit job. I saw it from a mile away when the New York Post had that big article, right? They put this whole thing. It was on Epps. And we know that whoever leaked that has to be the same person that notified IB about these slips that were missing. Someone that had knowledge of something going on in and around the world of Madry. But you didn't do it right because you didn't go the full length. You either just did this to go after one person and IEB didn't do their job, or you just you mentioned everything and IEB just focused on one person.
Sal, they were disingenuous because they led people to believe that there was never any overtime put in. That is absolutely false.
That's false.
The documents made it there. When they were asked to be returned, I know exactly who it is. I'm just not saying now because it's going to be in the lawsuit. I can tell you who picked up the documents, who delivered the documents, and who observed the manila envelope right on Jeffrey Madry's desk. And what he said is, quote, "They will never see that shit here." So there's your, she just created them out of nowhere. No, read the cases. And it says very clearly, you are allowed to recreate documents. That's perfectly legal. So all you naysayers, you need to get yourself educated. So I don't see how people get themselves so passionate about something they have no clue about. At least get yourself a basic understanding about something before you go half-hearted. Oh, you can't. And you notice that's right. And that's a fact. The Daily News not reporting this, the Post, because it goes against all their bullshit narratives. That's why I don't go to them anymore. People ask me, I don't give anything to paper anymore. I'd rather give it to small podcasters. At least they're going to give halfway the truth. And I'm not asking for people to support what I'm doing. I'm saying give people an opportunity to air their grievances because it's allowed under the First Amendment. But what happened is under this administration, they're trying to do so much to protect Tish that they don't even put stories out there. They don't put stories about her little footsies, the two, number 1 and number 2 minions in internal affairs. They have their little footsies. You know, footsies play under the table with their little subordinates. See, I'll say it. And listen, this is what they do. And all the suckers that believe the job, stop drinking your Kool-Aid. Why are you saying the job? They're having steak and lobster and saying, look at these fucking clowns. Let me send them to another detail. Meanwhile, they get ready to line up their next job when they leave the police department. You guys need to wake the hell up. You really do. Because if they do it to one person, they'll do it to you too.
Well, they're coming from a place of emotion, Eric, because they're very passionate about the topic and the issue, but unfortunately, they're directing their emotion in the wrong place. And in regards to the question about why Mamdani is keeping Commissioner Tish in her post, it's very easy to understand why, because it's a way to control the publicity in and around the department. As long as Jessica Tish is the police commissioner, he's going to be getting positive coverage. And let me add, by the way, for as much as Mamdani wants to talk about how poor of a job Eric Adams did, it seems like he's keeping the same exact cast of characters and now talking about how they were incredible hires at the time. We have a great female police commissioner that's a billionaire heiress. She's brought down crime. Why would I possibly change anything else? listen, I understand, guys, you got rid of Eric Adams because he was corrupt and tripped over his own feet while walking up and down the stairs. But it doesn't really feel like Mamdani is doing anything differently, especially with the police department where he's way too hands off. I mean, he doesn't even know where any of the precincts are, it feels like.
Well, Jack, is this what I said from the very beginning? Same thing, Sal. Is this what I said? It's all the same. This all the same. It's just different agenda. Okay, I'm gonna split the money this way. Okay, you're the red. I'm gonna split the money that way. They're all doing the same shit.
It's typical. It's typical narrative folding. And you remember when Mamdani went to the Oval Office to meet with Trump, and Trump is like, "Oh, they have a fantastic police commissioner." He went to school with she went to school with Ivanka Trump, and I'm thinking in my head, that police commissioner was hired by Eric Adams, and no one's talking about that.
Yeah, they don't care. It's all BS. But yeah, it's obvious from the tapes that she was a center. It didn't quite work out that way. See, the problem is that they wanted to do it, but see, unfortunately, they have an aggressive attorney that understands all this shit. And as I was talking to people when this investigation was going on, I said, trust me, I know my craft well. She's not lying about what happened. You may not like it. It may sound murky. It may sound ridiculous, but guess what? Victims respond in all kinds of ways that we don't understand. There's plenty of studies on this. It's not complex. And actually, she put a comment. I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'll talk about it. And of course, there's evidence of that manila envelope with the cash. We know who delivered the money, the $3,000 to Madre, right to his house. His wife accepted money. All this shit is provable. And it's right in WhatsApps and everything else. So if people think this is going to be bad, and someone out there is trying to get someone as an adult in the room to say, you know, I don't care if you like other people, because I don't like and dislike people. I think they're good for litigation if they're emotional. I don't care because I don't dislike anyone. The bottom line is, if you can't see what's happening here, this is going to get worse. And believe me, I'm going to almost finish it soon. But I'm going to drop a little bonus extra on top of that because, and this is a little tip, you hear it first, because she was abused by someone else. And that is a result of the police department's abuse. So they're going to get a little bit of extra oomph. Let's put it that way.
I like what she said here. This from Quatisha FSL. People think they know what happened in that office, but they don't know shit. The social media gangsters have so much to say, but wait, just wait. Yeah, some of them are 5'6" too. We'll leave that at that, man.
It's coming. Believe me.
One last thing besides I know the UFC last night in the White House was a big thing, even though it looked like the president fell asleep. You had Eric Trump insider trading or something with Daniel Cormier. I mean, look,
Daniel Cormier. Yeah, this is absolutely insane to me. So
this is nuts.
Let's kind of go through the series of events here. The first thing that happened.
By the way, this can't be fake. It can't be AI because if you actually saw the top of it, it is Eric Trump, and only Eric Trump's Twitter or his X account has that little thing next to his name. I don't know how you could say it's AI generated when Cormier himself posted this. I don't know.
Also, AI confirmed that AI didn't create the photo. So I know that might be a little bit of a mind fuck. I trust AI. Excuse my French. But anyway, so Eric Trump reached out to Daniel Cormier before the match and said, "You placing any bets?" No, I'm actually not allowed to bet on any cards or anything. Are any of the fighters injured that you know of? I'm not quite sure why you're asking me this, but I think they're in good shape. I'll just cut to the chase. Are any of the fights tomorrow rigged? I've been eyeing the Lopez fight, and I think an upset wouldn't be too unrealistic. $signs. No, none of our fights rigged, and honestly, I'm appalled that you would even ask me something like that. So, I mean, listen, the Trump family wanted to have this big UFC spectacle outside the White House to celebrate President Trump's 80th birthday, America's 250th birthday. But now it's turned into like a business ordeal because the Trump family is not only profiting off of UFC coming to their front lawn, they're also profiting or trying to profit off of the fights which are taking place. And Americans who are hoping to see relief at the gas pumps are not going to be happy about this because, remember, the Trump family has also profited extensively off of the war industrial complex and various other deals that we made with countries. They famously invested a lot of money in NVIDIA right when we started using them more, SpaceX, all of these other companies that they've poured a lot of money into. So they've profited off of President Trump's presidency. Now they're trying to do insider trading off some of the matches taking place on the lawn. I don't know how people are going to feel about that.
You also fell asleep. There's a video.
Yeah. We'll show that one thing at a time. I mean, it was a very eventful evening, but this was the AI confirmation of those tweets not being AI generated. Multiple journalists and eyewitnesses confirmed Daniel Cormier posted the screenshots himself before deleting them. Deleting a post from a verified account does not confirm fabrication, and participants in a conversation cannot fall for AI fakes of their own messages. So what's going on here? Because the messages were posted by Cormier, then he takes them down and says they're fake. So was he getting paid for that? Because it sure seems like it.
It was real quick too, just so everyone knows.
Very fast.
It was.
You know what amazes me about these guys? They make money, and they just continuously want to make money all the time. They're like addicted to it or something. I don't understand these guys.
You got to get this video of the president. All I'm going to say is this. You know, I have a lot of people. They look at this. A lot of videos. Hey, look,
he's sleeping. He's sleeping.
Yeah, just so people know, it's not about being against him. I'm not some anti-MAGA guy, even though I'm not part of the club. There's in the video, we sped that up. It's slow. He's not. All I'm saying is the guy used to make fun of Joe Biden all the time, Sleepy Joe, all this stuff. There's numerous videos of him now sleeping. I think one was the guy was farting on TV, and he looked. Don't throw stones when you have a glass house. That's all I'm saying. Congratulations on your peace deal. I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm sure Israel will violate that in the next 24 hours. You left like a champ, right? And we sped that up, by the way. It's pretty long. He's got his eyes closed. And I don't know what's up with that. But before you leave, Eric, Jack, the Knicks one, it was a huge thing. But some of the videos, and look, I told you there was a blowtorch on a school bus. That school bus, by the way, there were this school bus. These buses were used to usher people around from the FIFA World Cup to New York City. They trashed these buses, vandalized them, vandalized police vehicles, beat up, assaulted people, assaulted cops. There was over 60 arrests. There'll probably be even more. It was bedlam. And then the Puerto Rican Day Parade, more bedlam during that. And Eric, all I can say is I don't even know if you could actually prepare for this the right way. It doesn't matter how many cops we have in NYPD. This is a societal failure. I don't know who's parenting these people because they're all in the same age group, Eric. They're all like younger kids. Look at this. This is madness. It's going to cost the city millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's sad. You know, people don't. They I don't know what it is today, but people. You know what it is? I think the problem is today we're in the me society. It's all about me and how I feel and who cares about anyone else. Don't care how you affect anyone else except when it comes to them. Then when things happen to them, then all of a sudden the whole world's supposed to stop. I don't know why would you want to damage someone's property. I just don't understand that. I just don't understand. Why would you want to damage why would you want to commit crimes? Why do you want to do things that could kill people and hurt people? I don't understand that. Well, what's the point of this?
What is it? This guy's on camera. Like there was a guy that filmed.
Meanwhile, Sal, but let me just say this one thing. Meanwhile, if someone took his little scooter, he's ready to fight with them.
Yeah,
look at this clown. And look at it now. She missed it or he missed it. Then they hit that person that's on the hood.
Yeah, what if it comes flying out of his hands too?
That's right.
Holding it.
Bam, it goes hit that person, kills them. Then they're all apologetic, right? Because people, to me, people now, we only see in front of our nose. We don't think about others. We don't care about our neighbors. We don't care about our friends. We don't care about other people in society. Just how I feel for the most addictive thing in the world.
I was sitting there almost infuriated that people would actually do this. Because listen, I may not be a Knicks fan. They played a great game. At one point, I rooted for people like Jalen Brunson, who had the game of his had the career year essentially. The guy carried the team. What a playoff run, a magical carpet ride for the Knicks. And of all people, Zoran Mamdani is the mayor that brings an actual championship to New York since Bloomberg. I don't count the soccer MLS. That's not even a real league. When Eric Adams won, Mamdani becomes mayor and brings a championship. He was actually at the game all the time, whether you like him or not. This stuff has to stop. This is not a society. I've seen this over and over again in LA, now in New York City. It was in Philadelphia. Every time they win, you have these people just acting. You have to understand, people, there's three things. Remember, I keep saying property, people, police. You have to respect that. If you don't respect that, we don't have a society. What I saw, the $1 million in damage, this goes back to even George Floyd stuff. No one was, where was the real accountability? There was none. There was no one being held accountable. Now it's just going to get worse, and we have to get a grip on the youth because it's all young people that were doing this. Look at a cop. Look at this maniac. Look at this.
Now look at him. Meanwhile, he could break his shoulder. I mean, come on, man. Like,
what is he doing? What is this? What are you doing this for?
And these are not children either. These are people in their late 30s and early. I mean, their late 20s and 30s. Don't think they're children. They're not children.
City bikes. It's all kinds of damage around the city, and it's just
all so they can video themselves. See, social media is the most addictive thing out there. That's the problem right there.
Look at this guy. I mean, it's such a. This was so many videos of this stuff. It was so many that I virtually just went to sleep after. Like I stayed there for a little bit because I kept getting sent things, and I said I can't keep up with this. There's so much. Some of this stuff is fun. But then when the violence happens, all that, you don't want to see that. But it seems to be a repetitive thing.
Yeah, and you know what you find? Those are the same people complaining society's not fair. I can't get a job. I can't get this. I can't. Yeah, but you got time to do that. And then this and the police commissioner, I was going to get ready to mention this. She had the nerve to cancel all these people RDOs and everything and say, thank the police officers for what they've done. It's chaos out here, and that's not her fault, by the way. This is going on all over the United States. Even when I was still on the job, whenever they have the FIFA come in the 115 to 110, we have a large amount of people from Brazil and all these different places, all the Latin countries. They're out there fighting in the streets and everything, in the bars and everything else. So it's not anything new, but it just seems to get progressively worse. To take a blowtorch and to blow it in a bus, come on, man, are you serious?
That's the crazy part, Eric, because it's like, what are these people hoping to gain out of causing mayhem on the street? I mean, all you do is put yourself in a position of vulnerability, not just in the sense that you could get hurt, but you could also be criminally liable. That's something that a lot of people causing the chaos probably don't understand.
Jack, Eric, the next day with the Puerto Rican Day Parade, which I lobbied that. I thought Mamdani, and people got upset. He canceled the Gracie Mansion thing. You have to cancel everything because these people were then fighting on a city block in front of stores, slamming each other into store. They're fighting, brawling, a bunch of them. I don't know where this happened. It was during the parade, somewhere along the route. Like 10, 20 of these people, and they're all like 20 years old and in this grade group, acting like idiots and fighting each other, ruining this whole thing.
You know what you do? You know what you didn't see? Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I interrupt you. But you know what you didn't see? The legacy media. I looked at Channel 11 News. I looked at Channel 5, 7. Didn't see any of that. So when you told me that earlier, mentioned it before we went on, I said, really? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
What's the Day Parade? They show you the parade. They don't show you anything else. The side blocks is where everything happens.
It's just sad to see, Eric, how much pent-up anger is existing, especially amongst young people. I mean, just the other day, as a brief anecdote, I saw two very young kids in a poor neighborhood play slap boxing each other on the street.
Yeah.
And I walked up to them. I said, what are you guys doing? Are you even angry at each other? Or are you just doing this for no reason? And they looked at me in awe and in shock, like some guy walked up to me and randomly said this. But it spoke to the level of anger that's existing in our society. Because if we were living in happier times, Eric, I feel like these kids would have been playing together on a park or doing something productive inside or reading a book or enjoying each other's company. But instead, they're standing on the street, slapboxing each other while three different people are watching and video recording. And one of them was a lot bigger than the other kid, too. So it's disgusting place that we've reached in society where young people have turned to violence for entertainment without understanding any of the real consequences.
That's the attention-seeking behavior, but it doesn't get you anywhere. How is that going to change your socioeconomic status? How is that going to change anything? And that's where we're lost. And until that gets back on track, we're going to keep having all these kind of problems, which is why the police department is having so many problems, because you're getting these same kids that are joining the police department years later. And then they wind up like Cologne and these other clowns that are getting arrested. I mean, these cops are getting arrested at a clip I've never seen before. And I've watched the police department, been part of it a long time now. Every time you turn around. And that's only stuff to make it to the public. There's a whole lot more that happens internally that you don't hear about.
Yeah.
And that's why they get upset with Sal, because he puts up the orders.
Yeah,
you can't blame Dave Terrell anymore. He's not around. But, you know, internal affairs, they're good for leaks, too. Those are the best leakers, the ones in internal affairs.
It's funny because internal affairs always emphasizes no one leaked this, no one leaked that. But where do you think the leaks are coming from? Probably the people who are telling others not to leak.
I like these comments. People going after Kinsella saying, I guess Kinsella can't escape what's coming, sleeping with subordinates 11 ranks under her. Ouch.
Yeah,
Ouch.
we know about her little boyfriend over there, Staten Island, too. I tell you, we know a lot of stuff.
There's a lot. Piece by piece, you'll hear about things. Remember, but she's responsible for a lot, the time and all that. And I know she loves this show too. So hi, Tanya. So, you know, but I think, listen, Eric, today was quite a show. There was so much we unveiled. Best of luck with Slim's case. You'll definitely be back on in the future because there's other cases going on and other tidbits of information. So thank you once again for coming on. And I think we uncovered a lot today. And I hope for all the haters out there, you now know the Epps case is a lot more than what everybody knows from just following legacy media. If you followed us, you'll know the whole story. And not because I'm saying I'm for her, I'm from him. This is where the evidence leads. The evidence. Your post doesn't lead that way, by the way.
That's right. Evidence. That's what it's all about.
It's all about
feelings.
That's it. So
all right, thanks a lot, guy. Great show. Thanks.
Thanks,
Great.
Eric.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. So Jack, I mean, I think this was fantastic with so much. I know we went over 2 hours today, but it was a jam-packed show.
It was worth it.
We had almost a ton of people in here, a ton of people in the chat, good or bad. Listen, this show, this platform, we get anyone a voice, especially if you have litigation or have evidence, you can prove things. So this was a big thing. I remember she reached out to me, and I thought that Slims Florentino, you know, her voice should be heard. She just got terminated. I know that feeling, and I'm very sympathetic to people that get terminated for nonsense. You know, the people. This one was more about the police academy. You know, I mean, I haven't been in academy now almost 20 years, but I've been hearing a lot about what goes on there, and you know, kind of piece it together. It was quite interesting to hear and see the banter from so many people, and of course, the Paul Saraceno files. That was something we have exclusively here. I wrote an article about it as well. Eric, I want to get Eric on the record of commenting on this because I think it's the first time he heard anything was when I published it. I published them all during the week, you know, 1 to 8. So, and of course, Jack was euphoric over the Knicks win, and then I kept texting, telling him the city's about to burn down. This guy's a blowtorch on top of a bus. I've never seen this stuff in New York City.
Yeah, it's just a way overboard. And to put a bow tie on that, Sal, at some point, these criminals need to be prosecuted, and there needs to be fear put in the minds of those who are going out on the street and acting way too recklessly, because at some point someone's going to get hurt. I mean, remember when the Dodgers won the World Series a couple years ago, and that individual trying to blow up the fireworks accidentally shot off some of his fingers? I mean, these are people acting very dangerously out on the street, and there seems to be no fear of the repercussions. So I think that city officials need to be a lot more strict in terms of enforcing the law, but more importantly, people need to act in a more responsible manner, because really that's the stem and the root of the problem here. If people weren't acting this way, then we wouldn't have these sorts of problems.
Yeah. Society, you really need to do some soul searching, because what you did the other night in New York City, and then the next day at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, I hate to think that Thursday's the big ticker tape parade for the Knicks. Don't mess that up. Please don't mess that up. And it doesn't matter how many cops are out there. Like I said, you can't stop a group of these guys that are just hell-bent on creating damage because they have weapons or whatever it is. Remember, there were guys throwing fireworks too. I forgot about that. Flashbangs, IED. They are improvised explosive device, by the way. When you see something blow up and there's smoke, That's not an M80, folks. M80 doesn't make the smoke go all the way up in the air. That's an IED because that's technically sticks of dynamite. So they were doing this in Manhattan after the Knicks won. I mean, I've never seen that. I can understand 4th of July, but they wouldn't do it inside the city. They would do it in like Brooklyn or Bronx. This was in Times Square. Boom, and you see this whole puff of smoke, and you hear it. Plus, there were gunshots. Somebody got shot as well. It's just madness. It's a basketball game. It's a time for people to just say, hey, we're going to take a break from watching a president fall asleep watching UFC or farting in his chair, talking about things and listening to his cabinet. We're just going to worry about the Knicks, and we won. Now they can't even do that. And again, I applaud the president on the Iran deal. I just hope it doesn't get violated later today. So,
yeah, I hope it doesn't get violated. And I'm a little bit upset about the fact that we're apparently sending $300 billion to Iran in order to settle the deal as well. We'll talk about that at a later date. I still need to see the terms of the deal once the release. Remember, that hasn't been made available to the public yet. But I am confident that the parade is going to be a little bit more civil than the celebrations that we've seen, or the riots, excuse me. Because well, two things here. We're prepared for the parade, like we know it's happening, but more importantly, Sal, it's taking place during the day when people are generally speaking a little bit more responsible. It seems like the nighttime and the sun going down really brings out the worst in everyone. So I'm hoping that people are going to be a little bit more responsible during the day. Have your drinks, have your fun, cheer for the Knicks, but don't get out of control and start destroying property, because that shouldn't be tolerated.
That, please. So be vigilant out there, everyone. I know you worked hard. A lot of cops, they were working past their days off. Some of them did 24 straight hours, just insane stuff. So for you guys, I know you worked hard. We see it on this show. Soccer mom doesn't see it. She thinks you're just a robot. So, we'll see what happens with that. But listen, today was a long one. A lot of information, a lot of stuff, a lot of engagement. I'd like to thank everyone. If you guys can, don't forget to follow us. TikTok, Rumble, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at The Sal Greco Show. On Instagram and X with Jack as J_Stern97, and with myself on X and Instagram at The Sal Greco. And of course, don't forget to check out salgreco.com. Everything's there. We write articles, we have videos, we have shirts, mugs, everything you can want. And you stay up to date with the latest that's going on, because it's so much. I didn't even cover everything. It was so much. So I think that'll do it for today. We'll be back on Thursday at 11:05 a.m. right here on the Sal Greco Show on Rumble, YouTube, and X at 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time. And stay tuned on salgreco.com. And, of course, if you follow us, there's going to be plenty of news from here till now, and we'll always keep you up to date with everything. So with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody. Everyone have a great rest of your day, a great week upcoming. Remember, Thursday, the Knicks are going to be celebrating. James Dolan, your first championship, like you really care. But that sums it up. NBA basketball, we'll see you in October. So until then, we'll sign off and see you on Thursday. And we're signing off from South Florida, which, as you know, is a sunny place for shady people.
What I'm asking New Yorkers for is to look back at all the things I've done as a deputy commissioner for operations, the assistant as assistant commissioner, and my time as a not only as a New Yorker but as a police officer. I get stuff done.
Listen, there was a book that came out that Jasmine Ray wrote, and in the Daily News today, it stated that there was a sexual action that happened in Borough Hall. She reported in that book, and it wasn't. You're a dark, sick person, man. You know that? You're a dark, sick person. Your name was on the byline. And there's some of you that have been covering me. You guys could part. Let me do this. Y'all could depart. Y'all could depart. Some of you have been recovering me for 3.5 years. Some of you are so sick and dark, and you're the leader of that. You're one of the most dark writers that I've ever seen in this city. And your personal sick vendetta and the sickness of how you think of over-sexualizing a black man, that in the book is stated that there was a sexual action in Borough Hall. That was never in the book. But that's typical of the sickness and the darkness of your sick mind. You're one of the sickest reporters I know. Go to the next question. You're a sick person.